Good evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever your time zone is, folks. This is another episode of Rendezvous with Rico, and tonight I have with me Riverboat Jack. Jack, thank you very much for coming on the show, and would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Howdy, pleasure to be here. And I'm Riverboat Jack, go by Jack. And I host a show about news and politics on Twitch and YouTube. I've been doing that for the last several years. Before that, I was a video game journalist, and I worked with a multinational charity to raise money for sick and injured kids in hospitals. So that's kind of what I've been doing, and I've kind of transitioned into political organizing.
God damn, you out there, you've been out there killing it.
I most of the time I'm just kind of keeping my nose to the grindstone, and I don't really think about like killing it. I just I'm just trying my best, and I want to leave the world a little bit of a better place than how I found it.
Of course. And in which case, I gotta. It's before I get into like the specifics of the other things you've done. I definitely want to ask, like, you know, what would you say was your inciting incident as an instant if that's an interesting question for you
Hmm.
that got you to start doing all of what you're doing with regards to not just political organizing but just all around, I guess, philanthropic activities, you know what I mean, giving back to society, helping in some way, such and such, because there's always something
Yeah.
that sparked it, so that I find it interesting to find out what was it that sparked you.
So for me, I think to some degree it comes from like kind of coming up in like a fundamentalist Christian home, kind of internalizing some of those like more positive aspects of it, like you're supposed
Hmm.
to like, feed the hungry, clothe those who can't clothe themselves, uh give homes to the homeless, and like that has always stuck with me, even as like other aspects of kind of like that upbringing faded away, or I set them aside, and so like just growing up, it was just kind of this constant um feeling like, well, if I believe these things, like then I should try and help them come to be for more and more people. And for a while I did not have like a huge skill set or anything, but I could write, and I knew about video games. I was very fortunate to get into writing about them professionally, and then it just kind of happened that I had an opportunity to work with this huge charity, and that kind of furthered just that belief that like, hey, I should be trying to help like people, kids, because I can, and I'm in a position to do that, and that just has kind of been the ethos I have, I guess, of like wherever I am put, I want to try to make things better for other people.
Amen. Yeah, I can dig that. In my case, fucking, and I hope you don't mind me swearing because
Oh
I do
no,
that a
go
lot.
go for it. It's totally fine.
Good to go. Good to go. Fucking, I wasn't raised in any of that. In fact, I was raised in a much, yeah, I would say, quite the opposite, a very self-centered uh family upbringing. Ain't nobody gonna take care of you better than you. Do what you got to do to get by, type shit. Just do whatever. And what really, for me, what woke me up to all this, to wanting to help people in whatever way I could, and wanting in the foundation of my politics and such, was ironically the military.
Hmm.
The first thing I realized, this is before I became politically active, but the very first thing I realized was like, my health care was covered, like, completely. And then my girlfriend at the time, I talked to her father, and I asked him because he was always sick. He worked a lot, but he was always sick in some way. And I asked him why he never went to the doctor, and he said to me that he didn't want to leave his family with a bunch of debt. And thinking about that and contrasting with the fact that my healthcare was completely covered, that was the thing that just like snapped into focus for me. I was like, this something's wrong here. You know what I mean? Like this
Hmm.
this ain't right. This should be the what I have should be the standard for everybody. I don't understand why it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, that said, I'm not going to pretend that I am in any way as even remotely as philanthropic as you are. You know what I mean? I don't have I've pretty much never, and largely due to my own very poor financial mistakes throughout the years, uh not had the luxury, I would say, at least in my eye, the financial mistakes I've made resulted in me, I would say, what's the word? Getting tunnel vision of
Mhm.
sorts that blinded me to everyone else around me. It's like the part of my brain that says I want to help, but I can't because I can barely take care of my fucking self,
Yeah.
type of deal. So I do. So although I commend everyone who's out there, even regardless of whether or not they can take care of themselves, I'm just I hate to admit it, but it's the truth. I'm not selfless enough to put myself in that position. I
Yeah.
wish that I were, but
Well,
I'm not.
I don't think it's honestly I don't think it's that I like am more philanthropic than anybody else or anything like that. Like I was paid for the work I did. You know, like
Of course.
I was doing a job and it was mostly just like I had some options to like go into like, you know, the IGN direction. You know, if anyone here is into video games, you'll know what that means.
I got
Um,
it.
or like a more niche direction, and I chose the more niche direction, and it's not like it's because I'm like this amazing selfless person, because I was still trying to tend to my needs too, you know, and it's
Of course, of course.
I think a lot of people I think you got to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people, like applies even more so when it comes to like, you know, your career, you know.
Of course. And it's on that note that I know that, you know, if people's I that's why I'm of a firm belief that, if people's needs were met at a bare minimum, everyone would be a hell of a lot more charitable than they currently are. It's like I don't even entirely fault people. I get it. Like I said, I've been there. If you got it, you got it. But if you don't, don't break your back, because you ain't no good to nobody if you end up homeless. You know what I mean? You're the one in need.
Yeah.
So,
I
but what? Oh, go ahead.
I would just add that like my philosophy has always been like the more you can like empower yourself, the more you can use that power to help other people. You know, like, and whether that's like from like a mental health perspective or like a financial perspective, I think both things kind of ring true in our current like economic system.
Right, of course. And it's it's funny on that note when I think about it. Right, fucking. I think back to when I was especially desperate. Right, and I looked to veterans organizations for financial assistance and whatnot. And you want to know so and this is one of the things that shook me to my core, that made me think about like just how fucked everything's and how shallow much of many people's support for veterans really is that every single veterans organization, and I contacted them
Hmm.
all of them were broke due to
Yeah.
lack cited, as they said to me, due to lack of donations. Every single one. I was desperate, so I checked them all out. Not one could help me.
That is incredible.
Yeah. And that is shit, like that's what I realized, I don't care for shit. I especially cannot stand, actually, shallow appeals to, helping people and such when rubber meets the road, you ain't fucking there. You know what I mean? Uh, that's why I hate it, especially from conservatives and whatnot. I'm like, y'all fucking love us military, love the veterans are all night. Why is every single veterans organization broke,
Yep.
understaffed, underpaid, and got no money to help anybody? Well, like, why is that? Why is every single last fucking one of them like that?
Well,
So that's why.
and
What's
and
up?
and why are we setting up a system that even allows veterans to like fall into that level of like need in the first place? We don't have to have a system that does that. Like,
Exactly. It doesn't have to be this way. That's another thing that's formational of my politics, is that it never had to be this way. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's a structure that we are allowing. You know, that was definitely one of the harshest lessons I've learned about the society when I got out of the military was just like, for one, I got nothing but respect for y'all who've been civilians your entire lives. Like, holy shit. This shit, it is cold out here, dog. Like it is it's cold out here. This country don't give a fuck about you and are actively trying to fuck you over in every way, shape, and form. You know, when I was in the military, and it's the reason why some people try to who are in stay in, even though they want to get out, is because at least when I was in the military, I never had to worry about basically anything at all. And the second I got out, I've been worrying about this, that, and the third. It's stressing me the fuck out. I'm surprised I ain't bald yet from losing my damn hair or some shit. I don't know. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
genuinely stressful. And I'd have been fucked a long time ago if not for my VA disability. Because if I didn't have a service connected disability rating of 80%, which results in me getting a nice fat check every first of the month, I'd have been fucked a long time ago. Which,
Hmm.
by the way, is the reason why I support UBI.
Yep.
Um, it's so for those of you who are out here, been civilians your whole lives, and especially doing what you do, I have the utmost fucking respect for you. That's why, but as part of the obviously the main reason I've reached out to you is because my best friend fucking loves you and is currently watching too right now.
Oh,
Uh
hello.
yeah, and my wife said, I'm your best friend. And I was like, yes, babe, you're the bestest friend. There's no equivalent. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, fucking the other reasons that when I looked into you and learned about all of what you do, at least like a cursory, skimmy kind of way, in a cursory, skimmy kind of way, I was like, oh, you definitely are up in my on my top tier list of people because you could
Thank you.
very easily just not do what you're doing and only worry about yourself, and I wouldn't fucking blame you because again, the civilian sector is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it's uh your story you told earlier about your family member who like wasn't going to the doctor. Like I've done that. Like I've like not gone to the doctor to like save money. Like people in my family have done that to save money. Like sometimes for years. Like skipping out on seeing the doctor, and it's just like and when it comes to me, I feel I'm like in a weird position because on the one hand, I'm immensely like privileged to have been able to like make streaming into a thing that I do full time professionally. But on the other hand, like you're right, there are some days where I wake up and I look at like the news I have to cover and like the stories of the day, and then I start streaming and people come into my chat and they call me slurs, and they tell me to kill myself, and it's just it can be a lot to deal with, especially in this online space, and I think you can relate to that maybe.
Oh, bro, dog, I've been called fucking coon on numerous occasions. You know what I mean? I've been all because I'm a military veteran. I've been told in so many flavorful ways to kill myself, and all I and the thing is, I can kind of be an asshole. You know, I'm not gonna lie. When these mothers who are like, you're like, I hope the children you killed in the Middle East haunt you. I say, I typically respond with, yeah, they do haunt me. Their screams help me sleep at night, type shit as a response. They're like, how dare you? I'm like, motherfucker, you just said I murdered children. Fuck you. Don't how dare I say that? Like, you know what I mean?
It's honestly that the tendency to like say like fuck all the troops, like that fragment of like the left is baffling to me. Like
Oh yeah, no,
it's so weird to me. Like I don't know. There are so many other things to be upset about, but like being upset at like someone who went into the military seems to me like insane. That's an
I'm on
insane
the
position.
I tell people all the time, like the foundation of my left wing politics is because of the military. Someone I just had on my show a while back, not a while back, recently, who's someone I served with, right? And she don't have a Twitter. She's not a big profile. She's just a stay-at-home mom now who homeschools her kid. She don't even give a she is not plugged into politics. When I talk to her, same fucking foundation. She wants this single payer universal health care, basically all the shit we had in the military. She wants as a standard for the rest of the country.
Mhm.
It, the military is ripe for the fucking picking for left
Yep.
wing politics. So when I meet people who be on, like, it's largely an online thing, leftists who are just like, fuck the military. I'm like, y'all are the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever met. These people are ripe for the picking, and you want to chastise them and look down on them because they served in the military? Go fuck yourselves.
Well, and often these are the same people who will talk about rehabilitation and like, oh, we can rehabilitate anyone, and then need to reform our criminal justice system. And like, we do need to do those things. We do need to focus on rehabilitation. But how hypocritical to like have a political position where you believe in rehabilitation, but at the same time you're like, no, anyone who's been in the United States military is categorically evil.
I don't understand. Yeah, it's extremely hypocritical, and I don't understand it. I'm like that. That's why, again, that's why I just mock them. And I would I'm sorry, it's fucked up from the jokes I say back at them, but I can't help it. You motherfuckers say, how many children did you kill in the Middle East? I can't help but say, I don't know, I wasn't counting. You know what I mean? Type shit. You know what I mean? I just lean into it.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you do the same with the people who throw slurs at you and tell you to kill yourself and shit. I don't know how you deal with it, but that's how I deal with it. I just mock the shit out of them.
Yep. I do a very similar thing. Like, I'll say rude things about how I fucked their mom or fucked their dad, and they get really upset about that because
I'm like,
it's just so
well, like,
easy.
what did I get? And that's the funny thing. It's like, what the fuck are y'all gonna say? You the one came at me, throwing the slinging shit at me, and you can't take it back. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah,
don't swing if you can't fucking take it.
yeah, I don't know what people expect when they like come up and they're like, you are a pedophile, and you're like, I don't know you. Like, what? Okay, fuck you. How about that? And then they're like, oh,
Now,
my stars and garters.
oh, how dare you? I'm like, you just called me a pedophile. What the fuck? What do you mean? How dare I? How dare you, motherfucker? But yeah, nah, let's. I want to say on that note, um, if even if you see hundreds to thousands of motherfuckers trying to shit on you and tell you that you shouldn't exist, that you're wrong for your existence is wrong, or this, that, and the third. I want you to know from hearing it from me that I again have, even if obviously even if you didn't do all of what you do, I still respect your existence and such. But especially because of what you do, fuck all of them. Yeah, honestly, truly, you got my respect through and through.
Well, thank you. I care far more about like the respect of people that are willing to like do shit and like and at the very least stick up for what they believe. It's that respect I think means a lot more than like the respect of you know uh MILF Slayer 69 3000. I
Fuck
yeah, okay, Rando, yeah, you could come in and call me a mean name, whatever. I don't give a shit.
yeah, I'm not gonna lose any sleep at night over you. And in which case, I try to tell people all the time with regards to engaging on the internet. I'm like, y'all, because so many people do take what a random motherfucker, random anonymous fucking nobody says about them. They take that shit to heart,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, what? Why? You again? This is just some, like. Don't get me wrong. There are anonymous people, and I understand the reason for anonymity. Hell, I welcome people on my show, and I'm like, if you don't have to show your name and face, I that's fine. But at the same time, you can call it cognitive dissonance, whatever you want. At the same exact time, I also believe I have, I do not give a shit what some random anonymous nobody has to say. I don't. At the same vein as I'm willing to hear them out and talk to them, at the exact same time, I don't care.
Mhm.
But it depends on the person how they engage with me. It is something you can do, but unfortunately, a lot of people really don't know how to do that.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's never an individual person who's like coming in and like coming at me, right? But sometimes like the weight of just like the number of them can like break through a little bit. But like it's not something I'm going to like show publicly, but like yeah, I like turn off the camera and I'm just like, "Man, that fucking sucked." I did not enjoy that.
I hope you don't deal with that often, like too often at least.
I'd say maybe like once every other month or so. Just
Okay, that's
which
that's not.
you know what everyone has aspects about their job that makes them makes them feel like that, I think sometimes.
I'd like to think so, and it's like, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. If you're gonna be like online with your name and face showing,
Mhm.
you know what I mean. If you, that's the part of it. You and I always tell people it's like you kind of have to have a thick skin. You can't if you're. It's one thing to be online but be anonymous while you're online, and people still talk shit. But again, you're anonymous, so they're talking at the version at who they think you are versus like if they saw your name and face, now they're really talking at you.
Yeah.
And that you know what I mean, that stings. It does. I don't deny it definitely stings a lot more comparatively.
Mhm.
So I get that. I would say, but that's why I say you gotta have a thick skin. Like if you can't handle, like obviously there's gonna be a lot of good. I would say you and I both experience more good than bad,
Mhm.
but the bad is coming. It is
Yeah.
going to come. No one way or another.
Yeah. I would say that like kind of maybe swinging back a little bit like I'd say like some of the bad the bad that catches me off guard the most is when it comes from people who should be otherwise like kind of ideologically aligned with my
That's
goals,
yeah,
you
that's
know?
when it hurts.
That what the first time that happened, I was just really confused and just kind of like, why? Wait, what? Why is this happening?
Exactly, yeah. And on that note, here's a different topic, something I thought of recently, right? So, and I explained this to the friend that's watching this earlier today, and I want to run this by you, right?
Mhm.
And I want to hear your thoughts. So, with regards to not people who transition from male to female, female to male, but in regards to like gender identity,
Shish
like
Jack is
pertaining to like
talking
self
smiley
ID.
face.
You know what I mean? When if you know, you for lack of better words, you're a man that says you're a woman. You haven't transitioned. You don't try to look like a woman, traditionally what that looks like, yada yada yada, and vice versa. You just, I am a woman. Yeah, I believe that. I say and I say that in regard with regards to self ID. I had a thought because I had a conservative on who basically, well, he started with saying he didn't believe in gender identity and self ID until I explained to him that you do actually believe in that. You know what I mean? I tell you, you just don't call it gender identity or gender theory. Uh, you call it traditional values. You know what I mean? Conservatives have your own expression of masculinity and femininity. Y'all just don't call it what we call it, and then so that's why it's just a different flavor of the same thing, just a different way of saying the same thing. So that said, I his big gripe with gender identity specifically was with regards to the legal aspect of it, right? Like legal protections and such for people who self ID and when I just basically when we say legal protections, basically you mean like in our already existing anti-discrimination laws and the sorts, basically including self ID as a part of that. So it is actually bad to legally bad to misgender somebody or discriminate somebody for their gender identity and the like. And I thought about that, right? I was thinking, well, how because he was right to say that it is zero sum. You know, somebody's gonna come out of this not happy. And on the one hand, we could do if we were to add, legal protections for self ID, right? And added to anti discrimination laws and such. Um, People, the conservatives and such, people who, again, for lack of better words, look at a man who's calling himself a woman and just ain't jiving with that. They're the ones who would get in trouble for acting accordingly. They're the ones who would be coerced by the state to acknowledge and um work with somebody, associate with somebody, this, that, and the third, with somebody with whom fundamentally they just don't agree with and such. And on the other hand, without those protections, what I mean, they're free to discriminate against anyone who self IDs as much as they want. If a man saying he's a woman comes into a job and saying exactly that, the job can legally tell them to fuck off, or so on and so forth. Or if at the workplace they decided that that's the way it's going to be, the workplace can harass them, and it wouldn't count as discrimination or harassment because the self ID isn't protected. You know what I mean? And so it's zero. It is zero sum. Somebody is going to be unhappy by the end of this. And I was thinking, you know, and I'm sorry for being long winded. By the way,
No, no.
I'm getting to a point. I swear. I thought about this is like, how do I want this to end? Right? Me, a cisgender black dude, someone who by and large is unaffected by this, who in my first impulse, and this is the reason, and this now I'm getting into the point. The point here I want to say to everybody is my first impulse was not to care either way. I was indifferent. It's not my fucking problem. And I think that's a broader sentiment. The reason why so many people, are apathetic to the growing anti-trans movement, such, is because they don't really care either way. It's not personal to them. But then I realized something, that it was personal to me. That best friend I told you about is non-binary, and if there's one thing I believe more than anything, is that that friend of mine is a genuinely amazing person in every way, shape, or form. Though to be clear, it wouldn't matter if they weren't. Um, and I know they would go to bat for me in a similar circumstances, no matter what. No matter what the issue, they would absolutely go to bat for me. And it made me realize, yeah, I'd go to bat for them too. If I don't just want them to be respected by other people. I don't just want them to be treated the way that I want to be treated, to have their pronouns respected, to have their identity respected, and for them not be discriminated against. I demand it. I demand that. Yes, I want that. I demand that happens, and I absolutely want anybody who would dare to disrespect them to be crushed and punished for doing so. And of course, extrapolate that outwards to everybody else who does the same, who self IDs as well. And I thought to myself, and that's the conclusion I've come to, is that, yeah, I'll absolutely go to bat for self ID. And that's what I want to ask you is, I like to think that's the same for you, but if you had any connections, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, I fully support self ID. Like you can always come up with like circumstances where like, oh, but what if someone identifies as Nazi gender and wants you to use Heil Hitler as like their
Oh my
pronouns?
god.
Like conservatives have legitimately said that to me before. And it's just like, well, I think that there are probably like when it comes to like putting laws into place, um, or like standards of behavior, when it comes to like prisons, for example. Like, I think we as a whole society would be fine with there being like kind of agreeing upon an arbitrary line, of like, maybe you have to have been on hormones for X number of time before you can like get sent to like the women's or the men's prison. Um, but like when it comes to like being protected at your job, when it comes to being protected at like equal treatment at an establishment, like yeah, I think that we should have laws that roughly align with self ID, because I think generally speaking it's pretty easy to tell when someone is bullshitting about their identity, you know.
Oh, oh, for sure. Like, I like to think it would come down to people's just their own, not necessarily sensibilities, but judgment. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. I'd like to say that it's easy to tell. Um, oh fuck yeah! My wife just texted me that her insurance, her Medicaid, paid for all those ER visits we had
Oh,
recently.
congratulations.
What'd you say, back? It would have been like $700 otherwise. Thank
Oh my
fucking
god.
God. Whew. I needed some good news. Hot damn. But yeah, no, fucking it's from a legal basis, I would definitely say broadly speaking, you should just self ID should be protected. But at the same on the same vein, right? Um, I would say there should be if I were to offer any kind of concession to conservatives, I would say someone who, again, lack of better words, because I suck at this, so forgive me. If a man who identifies as a woman but has not gone through any of the transitioning process and does not present as a woman in any way, uh, say wants to participate, in sports or whatever, they would have to participate in the men's division. Yeah, they'll still be gendered properly, but it's like,
Yeah, I mean, like until whenever we find like a better way, if there is a better way of segregating sports by like weight class rather than gender or something.
I've been saying that for years, by the way, the weight class thing, because for the same reason, a 300 pound me wouldn't box against a 140-pound fucking dude. It should it should apply to everything else. You know what I mean? Segregating not necessarily off of their gender, but instead off their capabilities, their body. Like, hey, we don't want that 300-pound guy boxing that what lightweight dude. The lightweight dude's gonna get flattened in one fucking punch. You know what I mean? Or the lightweight dude's gonna beat the heavyweight dude just on points alone. You know what I mean? We have the means to assessing this shit.
Hmm. Yeah, and so like I think that when it comes to like certain things like sports, personally like I'm a trans person, I'm a trans woman, and it's just like
Oh shit! Are you for real? I couldn't tell.
yeah, I am.
You,
um
I'm just giving you shit. Go ahead.
and but yeah, when it comes to like stuff like sports, I've looked into the research, and like yeah, I'm fine with there being like a waiting period of like, oh, you need to be on HRT for 1 year, 2 years before you like move your division. I think that is fine and fair, generally speaking, when we're talking about like adults, especially. You know?
Yeah. No, yeah, because I mean, we do have, because unfortunately, with a lot of conservatives and such, they're operating in bad faith. Not in the case of the conservative I talk to, what I realize is it's not intentional,
No.
right? They really do believe the boogeymen they've concocted in their minds and the straw mans they've created. They really do sincerely believe it. It's not we're deliberately trying to be dishonest. They just believe what they're telling each other
Yeah.
about this, because if they heard you, a trans woman, say, no, I'm fine with segregated divisions and this, that, and the third, like everything you just said, it would blow their fucking minds. They'd be like, wait, what? I thought, but I thought, wait, you know what I mean? They would legitimately be confused.
Yeah, no, I mean these are the same people who thought like Obama was gonna put them in Hobbit homes, like was gonna mobilize
Mhm.
FEMA and like come and take all the guns, and then they were gonna live in little holes in the ground in the middle of nowhere, and like they aren't being dishonest about that fear. They genuinely believe that that is a thing that is imminent and could happen, which I think I think in some ways helps, and in a lot of ways is really dangerous, right?
Right.
Because some of those people are gonna do something about it.
Exactly. All it takes is one crazy person who believes that shit to actually go out and start gunning government officials down and shit. Like, just as an example, the famous case of the man who deemed himself the warrior for the babies. After years of propaganda saying they're killing children, they're actually murdering children at Planned Parenthoods. All it takes is one person who to sincerely believe that, go in there and believe they're fighting for a righteous cause
Hmm.
to protect the babies. Like, you know what I mean? That's all it takes.
Well, yeah, and especially because they are in these propaganda bubbles that tell them every single day, like when talking about abortion, uh, that 60 million children are being massacred, and it's like, well, yeah, if you actually believed that, like you're just like most Republicans do not live as if they believe that. That's just kind of like a talking point they have. But
Hmm.
there's a not insignificant number of Republicans who do genuinely believe that like there is this systemic genocide against the unborn, and they're willing to take up arms about it. or blow
Ex-
up clinics.
exactly, and that's what makes it so fucking dangerous. That's why I'm a big proponent of with regards to free speech. And I had a debate with somebody just last night with regards to free speech. That I'm a big believer in their people being legally liable for the shit that they say, like a lot more so than currently is the case. Because if a motherfucker had to prove in court that so and so is a pedophile and groomer, and it turned out they were fucking lying and just saying that because they could, well, I promise you, a lot of people would shut the fuck up. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people would be a lot less likely to be just accusing people of shit if they knew that they could be sued into oblivion for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, and even then, like some of the people who do like get sued to oblivion for it, like they just keep going, you know, like Alex Jones, sued into
Tucker,
oblivion, yet he's still going, still running his mouth.
because it's the only horse that man's got. He put all his eggs in that one basket. It's all he's got. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? He can't back. Like in that case, he can't back down. But the amount of damage you can do has been significantly lessened. Like we
Yeah,
obviously can't stop him or force him to change, but we can significantly reduce the damage he's doing by punishing the fuck out of him, as has been the case. You know what I mean? Like even like Tucker Carlson with regards to the fucking 2020 election lies and shit. Fox News sued for almost a fucking $1 billion, and they definitely have him to thank for that. So they shit canned his ass.
oh, and
And now
they got another one coming down the pipeline too. They got
another one. Yeah, that was
yeah.
just Dominion. Smartmatic is like, oh,
Mm.
you about to pay up too, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Fox News has every reason to tell everyone who knowingly had anything to do with that shit, you're out of here. You know what I mean? So now, yeah, they can still keep going with their message, but their message has vastly less reach comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it is absolutely good and necessary for me to be legally liable for the shit that they say. You
For
know, that's
sure,
why
for
I'm not a
sure.
free speech absolutist. I believe in the free. Yeah, you can have the freedom to speak, but I should have the freedom to sue your ass if you say some crazy shit.
Yeah, it's I'm fully on board with this, the idea of like deplatforming these people with you know, making sure people who are flapping their mouth and making like very serious allegations about people need to put up or shut up, essentially.
Put up or shut up. Yeah.
And yeah, it just our system is so like weird where you know,
The
essentially if
bar is really high,
the
unfortunately.
the bar is high, but also like I feel like our system proves kind of like, well, if you're wealthy, you can just kind of get away with it. You know, you can just
Basically.
like your messaging might be like diminished, and that's definitely good, but like, man, if you or I got slapped with like a lawsuit the size of Alex Jones, like like we'd
Oh
be
god, that would be
done.
the end of me. You never hear me again.
I'm gonna like just pour cement in my shoes, walk into the ocean, like.
Yeah, honestly, if I got slapped with damn near $1 billion or $1 billion in fucking lawsuits, I just end it. There's no coming back. My kids wouldn't be able to pay that. You know
No.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the end of me. So yeah, there is a certain dichotomy there with regards to that. You know, rich people can still effectively say whatever they want, versus us. You know, not rich folk don't have that luxury. But if
Yeah.
it was up to me, I would even the playing field a bit more on that with regards to, well, I punish you equivalent to your wealth, essentially.
Mm.
I'm like,
I'd be for that. Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm just like, you filthy rich person need to be hit with $2 billion. You know what I mean? But you,
Hmm.
poor person, I'll hit you with a couple thousand. You know, it'll still hurt you, but it won't ruin you, type of deal.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I could get behind something like that. Yeah.
You get what I mean? It's just, and then it's something he brought up before, the other person, the free speech guy. It was just like, well, what about the legal representation? People, a lot of people don't have access to legal representation. Well, I would make it so they had access to legal representation. Like it's kind of a no brainer there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they can't afford it, I'd ensure that they had it by the state.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're in like a weird time where like social media has amplified everybody's voice to such a degree that like, you know, you know what we know what everybody thinks now, and it's just like
A
I
little too
don't.
much.
Yeah, a little a little too much, but it's just like, man, I don't know. I don't know if it's ever gonna go, the other way, where like we're gonna hear less from people. Like I feel like we're gonna
The
hear more and more.
oh, for sure. Like I said, until there's accountability for what people say, yeah, we're gonna keep hearing more and more because people effectively have carte blanche to say whatever they want, you know what I mean? It's like that old joke. Like, do you really think people will just go on the internet and tell lies? Yes, absolutely, yes, yes, they will. It turns out you can do exactly that, and it's very profitable to do so, and very little recourse for anyone who's been lied about, and very few punishments for that. Like Alex Jones is a rare case. Most people can get away with flat out fucking lying and spreading misinformation, shit like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Alex Jones is a rare case of accountability. But I would love for that accountability to be the standard.
Yeah. And like, man, I don't know, how we would get that through, because usually these cases fall under like a civil lawsuit, like you sue someone in civil court for defamation. But like I wouldn't be against like some sort of alternative body of law for that, as speech becomes wider. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. That might be a terrible idea. I reserve the right to retract it.
You reserve, like, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Don't don't throw that back at me. I reserve the right to retract that if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a
no,
legal scholar.
not a legal scholar. Hey, me neither. I'm spitballing too, but I just kind of talk from a more. I want to be clear. Like I always tell people, I'm not an expert in anything, and I don't pretend to be. But I talk from what my general understanding, and most importantly, from like foundational principles and kind of a sociology type thing, and understanding of people. That people tend to watch their fucking mouths a lot more when they know they can be held accountable for what they say. Like if they
True.
really have to worry about what'll happen if they say a certain thing, and I just kind of extrapolate from there. But go ahead. Were you about to say
Oh, no,
something?
no, go for it.
On the that said, I want to go back to something else, and then go back to one more thing after that. So let's do
All
the
right.
first thing, right? So this is why I do my show, by the way. Like where I have as many people on as I can, regardless of who they are, where they come from, big or small, including conservatives, is because a lot of people, like, I don't believe that people are as like, there are of course bad faith actors out there for
Hmm.
sure, but I believe most people sincerely believe the bad, dumb, misinformed thing that they believe, and it's not going to change if we never engage with them.
Yeah.
Is you know what I mean? Because I come at it from the assumption that even if you believe in something bad, I believe that you sincerely believe it. You're not some devil's advocate, being deliberately contrarian. No, you really believe this shit. And so my job is to try to reach you and break you out of that, to change your mind, like I did with that conservative.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That's my goal, at least. Like I can't be politically active in the way that you are and do what you do, and not just because in my own personal finances and shit, but also because that's just not what I'm good at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just not. I know myself. I know that's not my strength. My strength, unfortunately, is talking. I'm very good at it. I'm very good at talking to people, regardless of who they are, regardless of what we're talking about. That is my fucking specialty.
Hmm.
um and that's where this is my way of trying to help, of trying to change people, of trying to change the discourse, or steer it in some way. This is my wheelhouse, and I'm very good at it, and that's what I'm going to stick to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think it really helps, especially to play to your strengths. Like whatever you're good at, do that. Like
Yeah,
it's hard. Like if you're a zebra, be a zebra. Don't try and be a leopard. Like uh,
exactly.
do the thing you're good at. And like for me, like growing up, it was always like writing and like reading. That's what I was good at. So I went and got an English degree, and then that English degree turned into the opportunity to write professionally, and then that turned into something else, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just playing to your strengths helps in so many ways. It helps you to be like happier at what you're doing, and it helps you to be more effective at what you're doing. And yeah, I totally get it. Like I personally, like in my like activism, if someone wants to call it that. Um, like I focus on trying to get already left leaning people to like mobilize more in political spaces, you know,
Yeah.
and work together more. But there are also definitely places for people who are good at talking to conservatives and like trying to move them over. And like that's not my thing. I'm not necessarily going to be super good at that. But then there are people like you who are good at talking to conservatives and moving them over on some issues, and that also means a lot because that opens up like a more left-leaning message to a whole new groups of people who might not otherwise be receptive.
Exactly, and I couldn't put it better myself. Yeah, there's always a lot of people who feel bad about not being active enough, this, that, and the third, and I'm like, the best thing you can do for others is to do what you are actually good at. You know what I mean? To do the best you can, because like if you try to go out of your way to do something that you just aren't good at, that isn't your strength, you're just gonna end up miserable by the end of it and providing poor quality work anyways. You know what I mean? So find you should try turning the thing you're actually good at into something that you can also help people with. And bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a double whammy sandwich. I don't know.
Exactly. It's a you know, you got your peanut butter and my chocolate. You got your chocolate and my peanut
My
butter
peanut
situation.
butter.
Yeah.
Exactly. It all comes together to a beautiful, delicious Reese's. I'm sorry, you just reminded me of that. And I think that's what you were referencing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
The Family Guys, what Officer Reese's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that right there, by the way, is probably the funniest joke ever. In a sea of bad jokes, that is by far their best one.
Yeah,
But
I'm not a huge Family Guy person, but like definitely there are certain things from that show that just are stuck in my head forever.
yeah,
There's like that one, and then there's like the for whatever reason I don't even remember the context of the joke. There's just like a cutaway to like a giant cockroach in a basement just going good, good, and like
yeah.
that is stuck in my head forever. Like
I still don't understand the context of that, but I'll never forget that fucking cockroach is doing it. I'm just like, why? I, oh Lord have mercy. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is what we were talking about before, where well, I mean, we were on stream, but I not on my stream.
Sorry.
So no, you're good. Is that with what you do, you aren't interested in obviously being in front of the camera. You know what I mean? That's not what that's not what you're doing. And it's good. I said to you before, it's good that you're not fixated on being in front of the camera because it opens people up to a lot of negative incentives. Unfortunately, it brings
Yeah.
out, I would say, the worst in people. It brings out I would say, the diva in people, and it generally doesn't end well because these people want to be on the camera all the time by any means necessary, and I'm sure we both know exactly what that turns into.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's not so much that I don't want to be on camera, it's just that I don't need to be. Like it doesn't need to be me if it can be like instead of me, like five other people combined. You know, like
Yeah.
five you okay, yeah, I'll give up my time on the camera if five times as many people can get involved. Yeah, that's great math. And so I just have a different I think a different reason for doing what I do. And I think that there are a lot of reasons for people in our space to be doing what they do. And not all of them are, purely altruistic reasons. Like some of them are very much more self serving.
Oh, for sure. It's it's not good. I mean, and I talked to many other people about this. Right, the incentive structures is unfortunately with regards to you know being a media figure of some kind, content creator, this, that, and the third. Um, one, you're competing with all the rest. Even if you're on the same side, you're competing with them, and that unfortunately leads to a lot of infighting, which is why we see so much infighting online. Is because will you kind of have a vested interest to draw attention to yourself in some way, shape, or form, even if it's tearing somebody else down, right? Or picking a fight, just mudslinging, this, that, and the third, because unfortunately we are all pulling from the same audience. You know what I mean? I talked to Steve Shives about this, how the algorithms for one funnel us into small insular little pools, and unfortunately those pools, there's only so many people in there, and we both want their attention. Some people are more desperate than others to get that attention,
Yeah.
and that's where it starts bringing out the fucking worst in people. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And then like for me, what I do, I I have a conspiracy, though some people have said that this is likely true, that because all of my videos are listed as not suitable for anyone under the age of 18, I am like 99% certain YouTube is just you no one is being recommended my channel. I guarantee, I am like 99% certain that is exactly the case. So by all accounts, I have an incentive to try to draw as much attention to myself as possible. However, I have no interest in doing that because for one, I don't want fucking drama sharks in my audience. Two, I don't care how successful I get with this. If I do go big or whatever, as a talk show guy who talks to everybody, I will never let this be the thing that decides whether or not my bills get paid. You know what I mean? And that's what ends up being the case for a lot of people. And so they get, again, it feeds into the desperation. And then three, I just really don't I just don't want to be a tryhard. Again, I think people at this day and age are so attuned to things in such a meta way that you could smell when someone is clearly, trying to get as much attention on them as possible by any means necessary. And I don't want to be seen as that guy. For me, that's just a matter of pride. I don't want us to be seen that way.
Yeah. And like that makes sense. You want to be seen how you want to be seen, right? Like you want to have control over that narrative. And like uh, to me it's just I don't under I first of all I don't understand the appeal of like drama content. I don't it doesn't it's not appealing to myself at all. But I also just it's not something I'm interested in inviting into like my space. And like when I say that, like I mean like my headspace, like my personal space. Like I have better things to do with my time than like sit and look at at people being angry about like how I phrased something on Twitter. Like I don't get this. Just I want to do the work. I want to do the good work, and like uh
Stick to it. You actually, you talk the talk and you walk the walk, and stick to that.
well, and it's just like I see how powerful, like if some people would just like check their ego at the door a little bit. I can like see it, how powerful like this space could be as like a tool for mobilizing people to like get out there. Like our audiences skew younger. Like we can get people out to like go door to door volunteering to for campaigns.
Yep.
If you're watching and you're like, "Oh man, I I wish our politicians were more progressive." We could make that happen. If we
Absolutely.
demanded more from some of the people in this space who get so often sidetracked by the shit that doesn't matter. um
I said this with Steve Shives basically, is that in the I would I'm not actually, I didn't say this, but this is definitely something I firmly believe, is that the online space, like online space, could absolutely fucking be an incredible vehicle for change in organizing and networking and such and such. But because of the negative incentives, there being so many, unfortunately, it's left us fractured,
mhm.
and fractured and largely ineffective. And everyone's just doing their own thing individually, which is fine in and of itself. You know what I mean? You're out there doing your thing. So and so is doing out there doing their thing. Everyone's doing their own thing individually. But the power we'd have if we weren't fractured, and weren't driven by these incentives, um, would be it would be astronomical. We'd be able to do a lot more good collectively, like coordinating with each other, um, the co-oping, whatever you want to call it. We do a lot more good, but there's just again there are too many negative incentives, and for damn sure people just and this is more speculation than it is something I could provably like quantify because it's just more speculation based off my conversation with certain people.
Hmm.
There is no trust online
Yeah.
between there's just none between content creators. This maybe some here and there and very like everybody in their own little insular pockets, but there's no broad trust among people at all.
Yeah, no, it's one of the kind of more long-term projects that I want to make happen is like building like a space, like a hub for kind of the online left to be able to like put put your weapons down at the door and like this is where you go to like roll up your sleeves, you know, um like it could be so much more than it is, but like the amount of backstabbing, the amount of like investment certain people get over like semantic differences. I don't know if you were ever on Tumblr or not.
I was. I hate to admit it, I was.
Do you remember
Tumblr.
like the buy pan wars? Do you remember
Ugh.
that discourse?
I remember sitting there just like because I didn't again I was very politically unaware. I just really liked the artwork and such, but I was aware of the the arguments and wars and shit. And I just kind of sat there sitting like, what is happening? Why is this happening? What? Buy pan? What? What is all these distinctions? What is any of this?
A
I was
l-
very confused.
well, to me, it feels like a lot of the current day online left is just that kind of like semantic ethos, like writ large, having been freed from Tumblr. You know, it's
Yep.
just a more mature version of that. And like, man, like if you're like willing to like destroy like an attempt at like building a political coalition over like difference of language that like at the end of the day like it's essentially the same thing. Like you're both trying to say the same thing and it's like it's not worth ending friendships, it's not worth like ending attempts to like get us things like Medicare for all or like and so many people are just
Exactly.
like no it is worth it actually and then like proceed to try and stab you in the back. So
Oh my god. Yeah,
it's
no,
just such a weird space.
it is, and that's unfortunate. That's why I'm reaching out to as many people as I am. Obviously, I am left leaning and such, so I'm definitely rooting for and wanting to, you know, help the left more than anything. But my goal definitely is to show people how to engage with people, like really engage with them, not talk at them, not mischaracterize them, not misunderstand or any bullshit that they've been doing, but like actually engage with people. I want to show people that it can be done and this is how you do it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And because it feels like they lost the ability to do that entirely. Because it feels like years ago they used to do that, and then too much shit happened, and now it's just everyone's just lost the ability to do that.
Or even just like there's like this demand for like orthodoxy and it's just like man like we can work together without being lockstep with one another, you know, we don't have to be in 100% agreement about every single issue in order to work together on the things we agree on, you know. It's frustrating to me because I've seen people leave like political groups that are being assembled to do things, and it's because like oh well I don't like that other person or oh you know I got a bad vibe and it's just kind of like well but we need to do this. It's like this is
We
a
need
thing that will like actually help and it's frustrating.
like, so I say on to them, like, y'all gotta suck it up, Buttercup, because this burning bridges over it's over menial shit is not getting us anywhere. And but most importantly, even if the divergences are like legitimate criticism and such, somebody has to start this. Somebody has to extend the olive branch and organize people and say we got to work together. We got to talk this out. We got to work together towards this mutual goal that we may not support all the same things, but we support enough of the same things that they're worth pursuing.
Yeah.
It starts somewhere. Someone has to do it, and I encourage everyone, like, please take that first step. Take that first. You got to lay down them arms, roll up them sleeves, and take that first fucking step. Like, because with that conservative I debated about trans issues and such. It started with us, taking pot shots at each other, but then I took a step back. I DM'd him and I was like, hold on, let's calm down for a second. I get the feeling, we're talking past each other. You know what I mean? That we're having entirely separate conversations. So do you want to come on my show so we can talk this out, like really hash this out and talk to each other instead of at each other? You know what I mean? And long story short, he agreed, and here we are. We're buddies now, and we'll continue hashing out all our disagreements and divergences going forward. You know what I mean? But it started
Mhm.
with me deciding to just check my ego at the door, as you said, and like, hold on, let's fucking talk. All right.
Yeah. And the other part is just that, like, when it comes to like being politically effective, like, you should be able to work with people you dislike. Even if you think like that other person, like, they're a piece of shit, you should be able to work with that person to be able to achieve a common goal. Like, you don't have to like the people you go to work with. You don't gotta like the people that you organize politically with, or even like talk to. But like, at the end of the
If
day,
we're working, yeah.
at the end of the day, we're all in this mess together, and we need to work together to make it better.
Yep. And again, it starts with you. You know what I mean? That's my. If there's anything, the last thing to say to everybody is it starts with you. So, with all that being said, it has been an hour. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You're really easy to talk to.
I am. Like I said, that's the only thing I got going for me. Honestly, that is on my one skill. Everything else is I'm good enough for government work, as we used to say in the military. But this would be the one thing I would say I'm actually really good at. So I'm glad to hear that I do try. I mean, I can fuck it up, of course, but I do try.
Yeah.
On that note, I want to say, like, how's your chat looking? How's have they enjoyed the conversation?
I think they've enjoyed it a lot. A lot of them are saying that you seem really chill and nice. They like your ethos. Um, yeah, they're enjoying it, I think.
Glad to hear it. So I was saying this last little bit. If anyone has any specific questions for you or I, please do ask them. I want to give them a little time, like 5 minutes or so, to start asking questions. If anyone's already asked questions, please by all means read them out to me. But if they haven't yet, if you haven't yet, now is the time to start asking questions. And ask whatever you want, just so long as it's not about Star Trek. I don't know shit about Star Trek.
Yeah, I saw you had Steve Shives on right before, and
Yeah, and we joked about that because we get in the comments. We had some good Star Trek questions, and as he was answering them, I was just sitting there like, "What the fuck is he saying? What is this question? I don't understand any of this."
trans girl Jade asks, "What about Star Wars?"
Sorta. I have much more knowledge about Star Wars than I do Star Trek, but not nearly enough that I feel confident to talk about it. I will say this though, what I understand about Star Wars, um, it is weird. It's entertaining at the very least, but I've never really understood it. I've never understood the hype. It's interesting and it definitely is entertaining, especially the newer ones and shit, because it gets to be a lot more, cinematic than the old ones. But I've never understood the hype personally.
Yeah, I think over time I've come to understand the hype more. Like, there's something pretty wild that I learned like maybe 5 years ago, but that Star Wars, when George Lucas directed it, like he was like a kid kind of fresh out of college type, and like he essentially made he based the rebels off from Star Wars off of the Viet Cong,
Oh my god.
and the Empire off of America, and like he straight up gets asked in an interview, I forget with who.
I actually remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he like straight up gets asked, and he's like, yeah, they're the Viet Cong, like just straight up, and like I feel like that clip got that interview got just buried whenever Disney
Because Disney,
bought
yeah.
bought Star Wars. But that's it, I feel like that's a pretty revolutionary thing. One of the biggest box office hits of all time. Like coming out, and like the guy who made the movie is basing the heroes and their faction off of like the Viet Cong, and that's
It's a
uh,
scathing critique of American imperialism,
right.
and I can imagine why Disney doesn't want anything to do with that. That's why,
Yeah.
like, we're not showcasing this interview. We are not anti-American, blah 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 blah. So I dig that.
Um, and yeah, like I see some people in chat. I thought it was the Nazis. Yes, but also like he took a lot of like the uniform design from like Nazis. A lot of the space battles were from like old World War II footage, and like a lot of it was based on that, but it was a critique geared towards in the time period that Star Wars was released towards the current war between the United States and Vietnam.
Yeah, that tracks. Recency bias and all, but yeah, no, I dig. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
Yeah, do we have a non-Star Wars question?
Please. I know my branding is I can talk about anything and everything, but that's mostly bullshit. Look, there are it's just it's just a brand, okay? I can't. There are things I don't know. I swear to God,
Okay.
I just
Well, okay, we said not Star Wars, and then people are asking which is the best Doctor, which I think is a Doctor Who question.
God damn it!
Do you like X-Files? Do you like D&D, Conan the Barbarian? Stargate SG-1. Wow, y'all are a bunch of nerds.
You nerdy fucking assholes! You goddamn dorks! All right, let's do a lightning round on that. Yes, the X Files was interesting. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Conan the Barbarian, cool. I do like Conan the Barbarian. I don't know much about the fucking the lore of Conan the Barbarian since it's been rebooted over and over again. But generally speaking, I like Conan the Barbarian. What was the other ones?
Stargate SG-1.
I've never seen Stargate. Never. No idea what the fuck that even is.
It's a pretty good show. I'd recommend it.
Okay.
It's also like 12 seasons long, so if you want like kind of like a comfort sci-fi show, it's pretty good.
Do the humans fuck the aliens at any point in Stargate?
I don't think so, but there are probably a few weird one-off episodes.
Okay, well I'm not interested then. I'm kidding.
um, people are asking, well, what do you like?
Well, what do I like?
Yeah.
That's a okay. Like my wife just said. Contrary to what I may look like as a 300-pound tatted up black dude, I am a gigantic fucking weeb. So I like anime. I like cartoons. Like video games, and I have only read a few books in my time. Unfortunately, I have the attention span of a goldfish, so I'm not the best at reading books. I mean, I read a lot of articles, but like sitting down and cracking open a book, my ADHD unfortunately demands that I not do that. So
Yeah.
I do struggle with reading books. Um, Someone asked what my favorite. George Pendragon asked what is my favorite fantasy book series. Um, I don't. You know what? I'm gonna include comic books in this because fuck you. I make the rules here. Um, I guess I would say Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the After Story
Mhm.
comics. Fucking love those. Really great. Don't, but at the same time, I hate them because Zuko broke up with fucking the gloomy girlfriend of his, whose name I'm currently drawing a blank on, and that was a terrible writing choice, and I hate them for doing it. Um, yeah, no. And my favorite anime is Samurai Champloo.
Ooh, excellent choice.
Yes, that is my favorite of all time. Of all the anime I've seen over the years, Samurai Champloo is my absolute fucking favorite because it is just, three assholes come together, exploring Japan, and shenanigans ensue. And the fights are awesome, the music is sick, and I just love all three characters.
It's so fucking good.
Absolutely, absolutely good.
um
And oh,
oh
what's up?
we got another. Oh, where do you get your news? Where do you go to for your news?
I so we got if I want good investigative journalism, I go to ProPublica. You know what I mean? Like ProPublica does fantastic investigative journalism. I mean, if y'all don't support them, you should. ProPublica is where it's at. Fucking and then just general mainstream news outlets. I tend to like to cross reference because they don't always get it right, and sometimes they might have a little contradictory here and there. But I still read the general mainstream public press. Vice is good
Mm.
now. We obviously before what's his dick fucking used to run it. The Canadian shitbag who started the Proud Boys, who stuck something up his
Gavin
ass on
McGinnis.
camera. Gavin McFuck you is should be his name. Yeah, fuck that guy. Fucking muscular hipster ass looking motherfucker. Yeah, fuck that guy. But
he
Vice,
he
ever since he left, Vice is great.
I dislike how Weasley he is.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
the neo Nazis really like to play tough, and they really like to like pretend like, oh, we're the master race, and it's just like, uh, you guys are real Weasley though. Like you think you're the master race, but then you're like, are you a fascist? And they're like, tee hee, I'll never tell.
No,
Like they
I'll
try to be
never.
cute about it.
I'll never tell. Yeah, no, fuck them. And like for me, I'm like, bro, just say what you mean. I hate that, and I mean that with anybody. Say what you fucking mean. You know what I mean? And Fiora, who's a big fan of yours, by the way, says, "What is best in life?" And I guess broadly speaking, what is best in life? Uh, well, again, my channel is not suitable for anyone under the age of 18. So my answer to what is best in life is sex. Love it. Absolutely fucking love it. It is the that is my answer. That is my honest to God answer. Specifically with my wife.
Nice. Yeah, Fiora and I played D&D together back a few years ago,
Hell
before
yeah.
times.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, like I'm gonna go like adjacent to that, just like having like you know intimacy with like your loved one. Like whether it's sex or just like being able to just hold someone when like everything
Yeah.
else is falling apart, and it's just like that to me that means a lot because I went through a really long period of my life where I felt completely and utterly alone, and like having that makes me feel like I'm on a solid foundation again. You know?
Yeah, nothing recharges me more than cuddling with my wife. Nothing just when all is fucking sucking in a day, nothing makes me feel better than to just cuddle with her. And it reminds me of an old adage that I saw on Tumblr. Uh World cold and hard, titty soft and warm. And
So true.
it's so true. That's fucking perfect. It's true. Nothing
Yeah.
makes me nothing makes me feel better than just cuddling up to her like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is there any more questions, or we want to wrap it up there?
Let's see. Just taking a quick look. Oh, someone asked, "Do you like Akira?"
Akira is overrated as fuck, but I do like it.
It is I appreciate it from a technical standpoint, but man, I watched it once and I was just like that. I didn't like that, and then I
I
watched it
was
again.
not impressed.
I
Like
there's just a giant like what why is any of this happening? I mean, it's
the
it
whole
looks
time.
cool, but like why is it
Yeah.
happening?
I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I've never understood the hype for Akira. Why it's seen as this fucking masterpiece of some shit. It's just a bunch of cool looking random bullshit happening scene after scene. I have the whole time I was watching, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why? It's overrated.
But we did get the bicycle, like the motorcycle like slide. That I
That,
will
that we got, yeah, that was cool as fuck. I will
yeah.
give them that. Oh, and George Pendragon asks, what's on YouTube's current reading list? Again, I gotta stress this. I don't read. I'm just kidding. Right now, there are manga that I'm currently following, and some I've already finished recently. Like, oh, you know what? Fuck what's on my current reading list. Let me give you something. You leftist fuck something to read. That is extremely leftist and progressive, and despite what it looks like, oh my god, is if you have you ever heard of A Promised Neverland?
Yes.
Read that shit in its entirety. That shit is might as well be the fucking Communist Manifesto. Like holy shit, it is such a scathing critique of factory farms, capitalism, fucking this, that, and the third, the aristocracy, the whole nine. Like it is A Promised Neverland has a lot to say, and boy howdy does it say it.
Is the so I watched the first the two seasons of the anime.
Oh,
The first season was great.
great.
I loved it, and it was that I was like, oh wait, there more. Okay, I'm down. And then proceeded just a very long season of disappointment.
Yeah, read the manga. Read
The manga's better.
it's because the first season perfectly adapts the manga, and then the second season what they did is they just skipped like 90% of it. Like
Okay,
they were just basically, it seems like they were just rushed to hell. They were told, yeah, we're not adapting this entire series, so get to the ending already, and that's what happened.
cool.
Yeah, it's fucking tragic because if they'd have adapted the full thing with the same quality that they adapted the first season, it would have been the talk of the town to this day.
I personally I've been looking at starting the Wheel of Time series.
Heard of it,
Uh,
yeah.
I've been looking at it for a while, and now that I believe it's finished, I'm gonna start that. I don't really know what I'm in for with that, but I have that, and I've been eyeing Berserk. I want to start with Berserk.
Woo! Now, okay, Berserk deserves the hype it's gotten over the years. It deserves it. It does. I've read all of Berserk. It absolutely does. It earned the hype it's got because for one, it's cool as fuck. It looks the Kentaro Miura, rest his soul. Fucking he fucking killed it with Berserk. Like this shit, it is if for no other reason than just how cool it fucking looks. But the substance there, it is there. I will say to anybody who hasn't read it yet, though, you like yourself, it ain't for the faint of heart. There are some gratuitous scenes in there. So go in ready for that shit.
Yeah,
But it's not like exploitative in the same way of say like Goblin Slayer is.
yeah.
Yeah, Goblin Slayer, and like an old saying, I would say, or not even such an old saying, but something I realized a long time ago was that you can tell what the artist is into depending on how a scene is framed, right? You can tell like it didn't need to be framed this way. You chose to frame it this way. You drew it like this because this is what you're into, buddy. What you think your audience is into. And I'm not no fool for the okey doke. You're into sexual assault, clearly. And it shows. You are definitely sexualizing sexual assault.
Yeah, no,
You
he
know,
he he like built an entire fantasy series like on the premise of like the
sexual assault.
yeah, like it's such a weird like thing on the face of it that like I like got like the I watched the anime and I was just like, wait, is this really like what I watched the
Yes,
first episode of the anime. I was just like, is this like in the books? And I was just like,
yes,
oh,
yes. It is. It is.
oh,
It
no,
is.
no, no.
It is fucking gratuitous. It is obscene to the extent to how in it just clearly and don't even and definitely don't read the light novels because he's very descriptive with how much he loves that shit. And I not only know this not because I read that shit because I have a fucking conscience, but because I've read reviews on the light novel and the reviewers have all said the same thing that he goes in uncomfortable depth about the sexual assault scenes.
Yeah,
So the writer definitely has a thing for that shit. So but if you go when you go to Berserk, yeah, it's there, but it's not it's not even
it,
close to as gratuitous.
it's like it's
It's
like
just
there
there.
for a reason, you know.
Yeah,
Like it's there. There's like a difference between people who just want to like depict something and people who are showing in order to convey like additional information, you know.
additional information. That's what it feels like. It feels the only and you'll see the main thing you will see the main most I would say focused on scene of sexual assault between the main bad guy, the heroine, and the main good guy, Guts, being forced to watch is the purpose there. I'm just gonna tell you right again. It's the most one of the most memorable scenes because it's obviously incredibly fucked up,
Mm-hmm.
but the purpose is revenge, right? It's not. It's it's his sick, twisted form of love and also revenge. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's again, it's not even that gratuitous in how it's shown. You know what I mean? It's just you know it's happening, but it's one of the it's again it's one of the most famous because it's when Guts loses his eye, goes crazy, and solidifies his hatred for the main bad guy. That drives the whole fucking story
yeah,
from then on. That was the moment that solidified the main character's burning "I'm too angry to die" fucking rage that carries them through the story.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was what I that was me being as vague as possible without spoiling nothing explicit. That, but just to give you the paint a picture that even that's handled better than what the fucking Goblin Slayer motherfucker was doing.
Yeah.
So, all right, it has been almost an hour and a half. So I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm sure people would love to keep asking questions, and love to keep talking, but I think we should stop because it's getting late and shit.
Sounds good.
But thank you, Jack. Truly. Is there any last message you have for my audience? Obviously, your audience is used to you, but mine isn't. Any last message you have for them?
I mean, I've the message I have for them is like, don't give in to being a doomer. You know, don't give up hope because that's exactly what every force, every group, every person working towards your oppression wants you to do. They all want you to give up because people who've given up are easy to keep down. So keep standing tall, friends.
Amen to that. And if there's anything I have to say to your audience is yeah, fucking people talk a lot of shit online because they don't have to worry about you fucking them up in person. So take the shit talking with a grain of salt because I promise you they wouldn't say this shit to your face. Because I know motherfuckers try to say some shit to me in my motherfucking call me a coon or whatever the fuck they want online. I don't give a shit. Come say that shit to my face, you'll be swallowing your teeth. So I take the insults online with a grain of salt, and I would encourage you all to do the same because like I said, it, that's one of the things with the internet. Is people like to talk shit because they think they can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't even think that like someone's going to like pay attention or like fact check them or anything else, let alone like Let alone like there consequences to the things I said. Oh no,
Mhm.
you
If
know.
only we lived in a world with more consequences for the things you said. I promise you, people would shut the fuck up a hell of a lot more.
Probably.
Oh yeah. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say goodbye to Mars and turn off my stream. If you're still going, I just a few things to you before I go. So to my audience, I'll be doing my gaming stream in a bit, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you all for coming to my talk shows today. Look forward to the rest of the next ones. And I got a big surprise. I got a surprise big guest coming up, and it is she's now scheduled. It is Brianna Wu.
Oh, nice.
Yes, she is thrilled to come on. So I look for, if y'all don't know who that is, well, you will learn, motherfuckers. You're gonna learn that day. So that said, y'all take care. And bam. All right. Thank you very much. That was fun.
Yeah, I had a really, really great time. Happy to do it anytime.
Absolutely. That's all right. Fuck, I didn't say it during the stream. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I say it now too. Fucking you are, as I, cause I always say this as like the outro and I forgot to do it again. God damn it. Whatever. It's as I say to everyone, you guys, you are always welcome on my show. Because again, my whole thing is about talking about this, that, and the third. So if there's anything that's going on in your either in your personal life or in your political activism, and you just want to shout it to the world, or I mean, or just want to talk to somebody that you know you can have a substantive conversation with about it, I'm your Huckleberry. All right.
All right, sounds good. Let's maybe we'll do it again in like a couple months.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Take care.
See ya. I hope you guys had fun with that. I know I did.